about theater people is they can project. Welcome to my senior project. For those of you who don't know, a senior project is something that every senior has to complete. It started not too long ago. Every student has the opportunity to perform some type of task, I guess you could say. Some people job shadow teachers, some people job shadow reporters, or they make a project just like this. And I chose a concert. The point of this concert is to support the music program. Actually, all the money that's raised here tonight is going to the music program. So if we could just give them a round of applause. What's special about the music program is it brings the community together. And that's something that can definitely be seen through marching band, through concert band, through choirs. We go to districts and we actually see other communities, and we go to competitions and we see other communities, and they talk about us and we talk about them. So it's a great way to connect people. And that brings me on to my next subject. This whole project is actually based around the importance of music and why music is important not only to you individually, but to a community and actually to our education system. And the sad thing about music in our education system is it's slowly decreasing. You have universities and schools also that are taking music out of their programs. And the sad thing about it is music is one of the 7 intelligences. It's one of the ways that humans learn how to learn. We can absorb different information through using music, and I actually do this a lot. In English class, we have vocab words that we have to memorize. So I make up songs. They're cheesy. They have a little rap to them. I don't claim to be a rap artist or anything, but I make up these little raps and I make rhymes, and they actually stick in my head. I score better, as opposed to if I weren't using music, I would definitely have to just like rote memorize them and just memorize them straight through, maybe using flashcards or a more traditional style. But music is a gateway to learning, and that's the sad part, is when it's taken out of education. Why would you take out a way of learning in a place that we learn? And so what I'm going to go through here tonight for the first part is the kind of the educational part of what music is. Music is not only just for entertainment, but it's also part of education, and it's great. We turn on the radio and we hear music. We walk in the mall, we hear music. We turn on the TV, we turn on a commercial, and there's just some little piece of music playing. We were in Mr. Smith's class, and we were just watching these political campaigns, and they all had these little jingles to them so that you'd vote for Kennedy. And they were great, and they got people involved, and they got people connected to it because they remembered these things. So yes, it definitely is an entertainment, and you coming here tonight is for entertainment. I hope that I entertain you with the music that I've produced, but it's also an educational tool. And so quickly, I'm just going to go through how it's in our education system already, and not just in the music program. If you have math, to know music is to know math. You see, because in music we memorize things. Memorization is a math skill. It's a big math skill. You have to memorize formulas to be able to do more higher study of math. You also have to recognize patterns. Pattern recognition is also a huge aspect in math, especially in such as like geometry. You see, certain rhythms in music most of the time only come in certain kind of like segments. Like you'll usually see like 4 16th notes in a row, or 2 16th and an 8th note, or 1 8th note, 2 16th notes. The difference is they're usually shifted into other places, which kind of gets into just a little bit higher math in music, is when we have to add these fractions together, and then we have to put it to a rhythm. So not only are you adding these things, but you're also putting them in a time, and that's all very mathematical. So you use those skills in music, and they're also transferable over to math. So to know music is to know math. And I was having a talk with Mrs. McFarland, and she said, you know, I had a summer school, and they could not pass their math course. So Mrs. Arco and I were thinking, you know, why can't they pass it? So they broke it down, and they figured out they couldn't recognize simple math facts. They couldn't do them fast enough. You see, because math, a like most things, is built on the basics. It's built on a foundation. When you have a good foundation, you can do these higher level math. And music is basic math. And it's an everyday. Every time you're playing music, you're doing basic math. You're adding fractions. You're doing this pattern recognition. You're doing all these math skills. So to play music is actually build your basic skills in math, and can also help you to do harder math problems, because now it's just second nature. You do this all the time in music. You don't even have to think about it. You don't have to use a calculator. It's right there. So to know music is to know math. What else? History. History is a great part of music. And it's actually, they both complement each other. History complements music, and music complements history. We were talking in Mr. Smusky's class the other day about the Renaissance era, and the Renaissance era was actually produced by scholars and the arts. So the arts actually shifted a whole history in the world, and that's pretty crazy. But the arts alone had the power to make a whole world go into this new section of their history. So it's very much affected. The arts have a very big effect on history. Another thing is, usually when you play a piece, there's a little thing called like a composer's notes, or a little like memo, and it tells you what the piece is about. In band right now, we're playing a piece about, is it the Gettysburg War, right? Yeah, we're playing a piece about the Gettysburg War, and so we're actually representing two different sides of the Gettysburg War. And what we usually do is we'll sight read through a piece, we'll play through a couple times, and Mr. Stefanino usually takes about 5 or 10 minutes to let us listen to it after we have our own interpretation of it, and then he actually tells us the history behind it. So not only were we playing music and representing these two different sides, but we're also learning history. So being involved in these music programs, we're learning other things that we can take to our other classes. We went to county band actually the other year, and we played a piece that was about a war I'd never heard of, and it was this weird little tiny war that not many people in the whole county band had heard of, and it was just this cool little fact, and it was a big realization that you learn so many things through music that even your history classes, they just don't have time to tell you about, because they have more important things to tell you about, definitely, but there are little things about history that you can learn. So to know music is also to know history. What's the other? Gym. Who in here plays a sport? Anyone play sport? Raise your hands. Yes? Awesome. Is there Ava Young, right? Somewhere around here? Where you at, Big Boo? Awesome. You're a swimmer, right, Ava?
Yes, sir.
How important is it in swimming to have good rhythm?
Very important.
Very important. Why?
Keep your stroke time.
It keeps your stroke time, makes you faster, doesn't it? It actually enhances your time and it enhances your ability to perform. A big part, actually, it's Mr. Stephanie and I have had many conversations. A big part of music, and actually one of the most important parts of music that can be argued, is rhythm. Rhythm is very, very important. And to know rhythm and to be able to master rhythm can be transferable through sports. Some people say, oh, marching band isn't a sport. We take our hits for that, and that's completely fine. But to master rhythm, especially when you're in marching band, you're using this rhythm. You're actually marching to beat, and you're playing different rhythms. You can use that in all kinds of sports. If we have any golfers in here, your rhythm on your stroke, or any baseball players, your rhythm with hitting a ball at the precise time. You see, rhythm is extremely important. I personally am a bowler, so bowling is a lot of rhythm. It's all in your time and your steps. So to be able to master rhythm and to have a good rhythm and a good tempo can help you in all of these different sports. Not only is it good to have rhythm, but it's also breath control. You see, when we blow air into our instruments, no one really thinks about it, but we use so much air just from blowing into our instruments. Depending on what instrument you play, you blow more air. I mean, percussionists usually don't blow too much air into their instruments, but they have the rhythm down sometimes. I'm just kidding. But you see, we use these things. We use our diaphragm. We strengthen that. Again, if you're a swimmer, it's so important to have a good diaphragm, to have good breath control, stuff like that. I mean, in choir, we're always working on phrasing and being able to push our breath control past what the music says so that we can continue a phrase, a musical sentence. You see, that's also not the only thing. I mean, we have coordination too. It takes a lot to coordinate our feet to go like this, and then to also play and do independent things such as that. So it's also a hand-eye coordination. You see something with your eyes, you transfer it to your hands, and you're also tapping your feet so that you make sure you stay on the rhythm. I mean, there's so many things that go over to sports that when people say, oh, you know, you're a music nerd, you don't understand sports, and I just don't talk. I'm just, yeah, you know, you're fine. Because I know personally that the things that I do, and if they were to do them too, could also enhance their sports, whether they do music or not. If they were to try music and they were to master these things, I mean, they could take their career of their sports to the next level. So music is also a physical education. Okay, we'll start with foreign language. Foreign language, music is definitely a foreign language. One, it's foreign in itself. You see a quarter note. Well, if you weren't to show that, that'd be just like showing someone like a Chinese letter, if they didn't speak Chinese, obviously. They wouldn't know what it is. It's just on this weird line thing. It's a black dot. They're like, okay, that's great. I don't know what this black dot is. So it's its own language. It's a universal language, actually. So if I speak English and someone else speaks Chinese, we can't communicate because we don't speak the same language. But if he plays a piece of music and I play a piece of music, then we can now communicate. No matter what language we speak, we can communicate through this. It's a form of communication. Going on to our foreign language, I'm going to district choir with Ms. Strong, and we are singing many different foreign language pieces. So we're actually forced to learn Spanish, sometimes Latin. One time we did Russian. There was like a Hungarian or something. I mean, there's all kinds of weird languages that you get to learn. You get to experience these things. I mean, you're not in a foreign language, and that's okay because foreign language isn't for everyone. But being part of music makes you so well-rounded that you get this experience of even a foreign language. Excuse me. There was, back in time, the Italians were actually the motherland of music. That's where a lot of music came from. So you see, most of our things are written in Italian. So it's probably pretty funny for music educators. They're like, you know, what is this? And people are like, me estaso. Like, they don't know how to say it because it's in a different language. But you know, we learn that. We learn that it's maestoso. So we learn these different Italian words, and we get those prefixes from other things. Rientardando. We learn different languages through playing music. We have to because it tells us on the paper what to do in a foreign language. Which brings me to my next point, which is it's one of the biggest ones. Music is a language. Music is a language. Mr. Samusky teaches language arts, and he does it in a way that he teaches with English and Old English and stuff. I guess he's probably going to get on my case about saying Old English. I guess it's not Old English, but it's like a Middle English. Probably going to retrain for that or something. No, but he teaches us through conventional ways, through our main language. But music is actually a language of itself. And Kyle Anderson said this quote that has really stuck with me in one of our music theory blogs. He said, language is written sound, music is written sound. And so that's really stuck with me because he's right. Both of these things are written down of the sounds that we make. The sounds that we produce, we write them down. Music is this language of its own. And it's so powerful, and it's powerful enough to bring people to tears, to feel those chills. Has anyone ever felt chills listening to music? I definitely have. Sometimes just playing music, just playing this simple piano piece, gets so into it. You feel those chills. Because it communicates to you where words fail. And I know some of you have heard that before. It's kind of one of those cheesy Facebook statuses that 14-year-old girls share. You're like, oh, yeah. Besides the point, let's get a little more on the adult level. But it's not just a 14-year-old status. Music does speak where words fail. And that's so powerful because in America we have the freedom of he said, the freedom of speech is really the freedom to listen. And so I thought about that for a little bit, and music is listening. So where words fail, when we can say whatever we want because, you know, we're in the land of the free, where we have freedom of speech, maybe we should take some time to listen. And what we should be listening to is music. What we should be listening to is music to appreciate what music can really do, how powerful it is. You see, and it all goes back to music is that language, that universal language that can affect us all. And there's a famous bass player, remind me of his name real quick. Victor. There you go, Victor Wooten. And he said, join me on the battlefield. And what he was talking about was joining the army of music and how powerful it can be to have peace. It brings peace to people. And I was also watching this video on Facebook. It was this rather large man who was in a grocery store, just had these huge earphones on. You know, and he's just walking through casually. Then he starts going, "This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine." Just starts singing, right? Singing. Everyone's like, "Who is this rather large man?" Just singing while he's trying to buy detergent, you know? That's kind of creeped me out, you know. And then one woman, instead of criticizing him through her speech, she listened, and so she started singing. And before you know it, the whole grocery store, we're joined in arms, going like this, singing, creating music together. Now you can relate in a small town that you probably know most of the people when you go to Walmart. Maybe you don't know all of them, but there's probably at least 10 people that you know at any given time in Walmart, but you don't know all of them. And surely this man didn't know all of them. But all of them came together to sing this song of hope, this song of peace, of spreading good joy and good light around to others without even knowing the people. And that to me is crazy. You go up to strangers, I mean, how often would you go up to just a random stranger and use your language to just talk to them? You don't know them. You go, let's say you go to a big city and you go up to someone and you're just saying, you just start having a small talk. Well, most people don't do that. But music is something that brings people together like that, and it's so powerful to have this whole group of random people swaying back together, singing a song. And you know, I don't think that I'll probably ever forget watching that video, because it definitely changed my perspective on music even farther, of music being a language itself, a language of peace, a language of tranquility, something that brings people, it glues people together. And I've talked to many music educators, and I've had this in my own life. When you play music with someone, or you go to a band, or you go listen to someone, it's something that sticks with you for life. Those are what Mr. Stefanina, he even said, those are some of my best friends, the people that I met in college and played music with, or played a gig with. Because music is a glue. It's that glue that really brings people together. So to know music is to know language. It's its own special, unique language. It does so much more than our words can do, because it speaks where words fail. So yes, words, you can talk to people, you can do things, but music makes you feel something. Not that words can't, but it makes you feel something past those words. So that really shows how powerful music is. And most importantly, to know music is to know the arts. Music is an art itself. And something that I said in my interview with the paper was, music makes you feel human. It makes me feel human. And to be human is to feel something. It's to feel emotions, to feel pain, to feel happy, to feel hopeful and humble and courageous. That's what being human is. It's to do those things. It's to feel and to be affected inwardly on things like that. And music is what it makes me feel those emotions. It makes me feel human. It reminds me that I am human, and there is something better than just what I can say or what I can hear for me to express that I am. I mean, I can go and I can talk about my problems all I want, and there's nothing wrong with that, but in the end of the have yourself. And so if you were to sit down and listen to a piece of music that consoles you by yourself, and you let that piece of music affect you and speak to you, maybe you could be the change in someone else's bad day. Maybe music helps you out. And so you can share that with someone else and say, well, you know, maybe they come to you with your problems and you say, well, you know what, I know how you've been feeling. How about you go listen to this? Or how about you try picking up an instrument and just playing? Because it really frees you. It's an escape. It takes you somewhere else. It's almost like a dream. And actually, one of the pieces I'll be playing for you tonight is called Dreams. It's a nice little simple piece that is supposed to just kind of represent a taking away. It escapes you somewhere where you can't be just normally. You see, so music makes you this well-rounded person because through music you experience math and science, physical education, history, languages, foreign languages. Is there any subject that I'm missing? Any more subject? Anyone to think of? A whisper or something.
Science.
Science. Science. Who said science? Thank you. Who are you? Leah. Thanks, Leah. Science. Music is science. How do you think that music is produced? It's produced through sound waves. In physics, we go over sound waves. We go over how those work, how tuning works. You see, tuning is where you take a note and it has a sound wave that moves like this. And so if you have a sound wave that moves like this, they don't sound very good together because they're not flowing together. Now, to get those sound waves to move like this, to be able to manipulate something like that, it takes understanding of an instrument. It takes, well, you know, something, if you pull out the slide, it makes it bigger, which makes a lower sound. You see, it's also a science. And also, what went into the engineers here? They engineered this room to be a perfect place for people to produce music because of the way that sound moves and bounces off things. So it's most definitely also a science. Thank you. Is that definitely about that, Leah? So using music, we can become not only a well-rounded person, not only can we learn from music and use music as a learning tool to learn other things, but we can also do the most important thing. And sometimes that is to just escape life. That's just to escape and feel human, because it affects us so much. And you see, that has been my personal walk with music. I started music, and Sherry's actually in here somewhere. The lights are right there. Sherry and I took piano lessons from her for what, 6 months to a year? Huh? 3 or 4 years. I was really young. What was I, like 6? 6 or 7. I took these piano lessons from her, and we never got through much because I never practiced, and she can attest for that. I still don't practice as much as I should, but that's besides the point. But it started me off, and I ended up quitting piano lessons because my schedule got too busy with sports, which is something I definitely wish I would not have done because I don't play baseball anymore. But and I play piano. But she started me off on this road, and I think that's definitely where it first started. It was between her lessons and listening to my sister sing. We would sing together when she would babysit me when we weren't bickering. And it doesn't happen too much anymore. But we would sing, and I would create music at the most basic level. And it's grown into this through a music program, through people who have affected me, which is each and every one of you, because if you didn't, you definitely wouldn't be here today, tonight, I guess. But music can take you on your own journey, no matter how old or young you are. And so I challenge you to find your importance in music. I challenge you to find out how music is important to you. How can it affect you? How can it help you learn? How can it help you relax? How can it entertain you? Don't take music for granted. Definitely don't take something so powerful as music shouldn't be taken for granted. It shouldn't just be looked over. It should be used to its full advantage. There's no reason to be cutting music programs when we learn in education, and that's where we get our education. We're cutting one of the ways we learn. There's no reason. I think it's because without getting into Mr. Smith's economics with, well, you know what, this money I should go here, and I don't know anything about that. I'm not going to lie to you. But instead of looking past music and just using it on the radio as entertainment or playing it at a high school dance, we should be using it to our full advantages to create something more powerful than ourselves, more powerful than a math problem, more powerful than a science theory or a dodgeball tournament. Those are the things that we learn in schools, and they're definitely important because they make us round. But music is that main point that you get everything in. So why are we taking it out? Is my question. So I challenge you to find your importance in music and spread that. Whatever it is to you, whatever music is to you, I want you to spread it somewhere. Because I want to make a change. And there's so many people out there making changes. I want all of us to be a part of that. Because music is something so powerful that we can do anything. We can definitely do anything with music. So I want to make that change, and I challenge you to help me. That is all I have for my spiel. That was the educational part. Now we're going to move on to the entertainment.